Hello, poor bear, it's me again. Fancy a spot of tea, do we? Here, take a bladed slicey jabber to the central point on a crumpet and split it in twain for us to share. It would likely accommodate the two of us as I thrust my darts toward the cyan-tinted enemy laner after I previously had thought he had back-ed for items and would fancy a trade of quid for elf ports from the second friendliest of shop merchants. The friendliest, of course, being the merchant of my team, but unfortunately I'd opened myself up to a ravenous attack from the river. I welcomed the gank, and I found myself in Davy Jones' locker faster than you can say hello, Bobby. Later that evening, I set up a number of slow-trap sport loggers and returned to my twisted desire of trying to take advantage of this fiendish troll, but it had yet to occur to me the sort of danger I was about to put myself in. Their whole team had worked their way over to me, and I was fortunate enough to wiggle into a bit of a trade. Fancy that. The series of unfortunate events continues. I had laden the enemy's vegetation path with cloaked toxin fields without so much as a subtle warning, and to my demise he had set up the most voracious of tactics, dropping his ally's manhood mere parsecs toward the north of my likelihood. It was absolutely unbeknownst to me, and there was little that could have been done. However, I made my way back to my previous location at unfathomable speeds, likely 20 or 30 knots, with the fake manichinical roboticism of an actual human being. But I had underestimated the sheer force and power of my foe, and he swiped the life of my boots and the rest from the clutches of the severed grasp of my clammy phalanginous hands. It was at this point in time that I thought I'd fancy placing a defensive mushroom upon their jungle habitation, but unfortunately I ran myself into a bit of a predicament that I would unfortunately not make it out of with my life. Yes, if this man was a baker, I would undoubtedly be the wheat that he had freshly scythed from the confines of the fields. These recent events led to a proper award of excellence from my peers and colleagues, one that was less material than I would have preferred, but oneself can always appreciate the recognition and much-deserved attention. Later on in the field of justice, I found myself in a very familiar situation. Quite. I figured I had finally obtained the advantage over the enemy laner, shredding his spirit with overwhelming cowardice. Whether or not this was the case, we shall forever never know. For the devil herself had made her way to me from the same aquatic prison that had formerly tainted my KDA. Fortunate for us, one of my stealthy yellow-bellied hood honkers caught out the opposite team's support champion, and, like my most recent tuxedo purchase, she, too, was double-breasted, and her chest was quick to turn my KDA into much more than a symbolic state of being for exactly who I am. This particular catch allowed us to commence once more on the teeth of the Nashoria's being and achieve a victorious standing, melding together strength and courage for an overwhelmingly accurate gain of ELO. In the hierarchy of objectives, we had secured the highest one of all. Their nexus had fallen, placing me one step further toward achieving my dreams. Today, my hope stands firm.